Hello and welcome back to the only podcast trying to start a jizz band called Cyril Karn and the Gorman Silk Spiders. I'm Max.
I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
And this is Force for Thought. All right, I had a lot of alts for that joke and no real segue for it. So without further ado, here are 5 potential band names based on Andor, specifically Season 2.
Okay.
You have the Gorman Silk Spiders, My Imperial Romance, House of Mothma, Uncle Harlow's Secrets, and the Maya Pei Brigade.
I think those are all great album names for the Silk Spiders. And also, I feel like just saying a jizz band name, the Silk Spiders, just feels like you're shooting ropes or something. That's all. I feel like every week we're just getting more perverted as we go on.
It'll always be jizz. No one's going to take that away from me. But hello and welcome back. Today we are discussing Andor Seasons 1 and 2 because we're doing a ranking of the arcs. And as timing would have it, the Emmys announced their nominations. And shout out to Andor for racking up 14 nominations, most of which I didn't really care about, if I'm being honest. I kind of perused the list. It was a lot of technical, like editing, sound design, directing stuff. I don't know. But there were a couple big ones. The biggest one being Outstanding. It was all deserved, but I was just like, okay. I was wanting something better because it got nominated for Outstanding Drama Series, which I was very excited about. I also thought it was funny that every single category that required like a specific episode nomination or whatever, I don't know how it works, but like almost every single one of them was Who Are You? And I was like, they knew that they cooked with that episode.
That's true. I
mean,
this
like,
is
we got
also
one episode for you guys. This is it.
I feel like we talked about Kenobi not that long ago, and I feel like when Andor and Kenobi both came out around the same time, they were both nominated for Outstanding Dramas as well, which is nuts. And I feel like realistically, Andor's a nice nod. I think Andor could legitimately win the other categories. I don't think it's going to win Drama Series. I think it should, but at the same time, I think Severance should probably win and will win, but White Lotus is a close second. I love Severance, but I don't know.
Jerk to Severance though.
It's so good. Have you ever seen it? It's Mike.
I haven't. No.
Mike was in the same. Mike kind of said the same thing, and then he watched it. He's like, "Holy shit, this might be one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life," and it is. With that being said, so is Andor. But
has he ever watched Andor?
No, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. He pissed me off because he's like, "No, I don't want to watch anything Star Wars." I was like, "Okay."
But I don't understand, because I guess I'm just more used to the Oscars, how the categories work for the Emmys, because the only actors that I saw that were nominated from Andor for anything was Alan Tudyk, which was for a voiceover nomination. So I was like, okay, that's a little more niche, so I guess I get it. But then the other one was, I think it was like the Outstanding Guest Appearance or something, and that went to Forrest Whitaker. And I'm like, is Forrest Whitaker really a guest to Andor? And I'm like, is that just like the equivalent to a supporting actor or actress? Where were I didn't even see any categories. Maybe I just wasn't looking because I don't think anyone from Andor was nominated. But I was like, where the heck is something for Genevieve O'Reilly or Stellan Skarsgård? I didn't see anything for either of them. And I feel like they were the obvious candidates.
I agree. The guest is just an episode or two. They just make a brief appearance. So there's like the way it works, right? Just like you said, there's main, there's supporting, or lead, then supporting, and then there's guest as well. So like a lot of people sneak in with like guest appearances that end up getting Emmys. I'm trying to think of like one off the top of my head, but like John Mulaney or Bob Odenkirk, for example, in The Bear. I don't think you guys seen The Bear, so that doesn't even really help. But like, just in an end episode, basically, these people are in here for. So yeah, Genevieve O'Reilly is the one who deserves it the most, I would say, out of
I agree.
all of season 2. And honestly, same thing with, I mean, I understand that Andor himself didn't get it, I guess, because he's also really good in I'd say he's better maybe in season 1, like as like on an acting level, I guess, because he's not in it as much in season 2, which I'm fine with. But yeah, it's wild to see that, but also at the same time, it's like, Forrest Whitaker, why not? And also directing, I feel like it should. Yeah, directing is amazing for Who Are You?
Yeah, I mean,
Forrest,
obviously everything was deserved. I was happy to see Forrest Whitaker because I'm a big Saw Gerrera fan. I'm a big defender. A lot of people don't like the character. I think he's great, and obviously I think that monologue did wonders for him because that was another category where they had to submit like a specific episode. Well, that makes sense because he was a guest, quote unquote. But yeah, it was the one where he gives the monologue at the end about Rito, and I was like, yeah.
Saw Gerrera
that
was
should get
in
it.
2 episodes in season 1 and
Mhm.
3 episodes in season 2, but that's counting episode 12 where you just see him on Jeddah in the montage at the very end. So basically 2 episodes in season 2
Which
and
could
in
have been
season
used
1.
footage from Rogue One.
Yes, it could have been.
All right. Well, this isn't really what this episode is about, so we'll keep moving on, even though it is about Andor. But we are ranking the arcs to Andor. All right. So here's the breakdown. There are 8 arcs. There are 4 arcs per season, 2 seasons. And just for naming conventions, because we were texting about this earlier, this is just what I've kind of arbitrarily named the arcs as. So you have the first arc, which I've called Intro / Starpath Unit / Morlana. It didn't really have a great obvious title in my opinion.
You don't
And then
think
you have the
Ferrex
second
made
arc, which
sense?
is
I feel like
no,
Ferrex.
because the last
Ferrex.
arc is Ferrex. I was trying not to repeat too many,
I put
and I was
Ferrex
already upset with
finale.
season
I mean,
2
same
that
thing with
there's.
Gorman and Gorman Massacre. I feel like it's
You could
tough.
call it Ferrex finale. We'll be going in chronological order anyway. So, I mean, if you've seen the show, it'll be kind of obvious which ones we're talking about. But then you got the Aldani arc. Then you got Narkina 5, Ferrex / Ferrex finale. And then season 2, the first arc, you got the wedding arc. And then you got the Gorman heist arc. And then you got the Gorman massacre arc. And then the final arc, which is Luthen's death and finale / Clea's extraction.
It's funny to me that, and those are. It's so funny because I feel like you're naming beats in that as well. I had one gripe in that text. I was like, it's not even worth litigating in the text. But I was like, Luthen's death is like, yes, it's a major beat in that arc. But I would.
That is not a major beat. That is what the arc is. It's just the fallout from it. It's just the inciting incident.
I would
to
call
the
that
arc.
the finale is the package.
All right, well,
of
we'll get there.
finale.
We'll get there.
That's insane to
Like
me.
I said, we're going in chronological order, so we will get to that one last.
Yeah.
But I do want to start with the very first arc. So the
I have a question.
The
I'm
Starpath
sorry.
Unit /
I'm sorry.
Morlana.
We gotta pause because now I'm thrown off. Are we not counting Luthen's episode 10 in the season 2 episode 10, 11, 12 arc? Is it just episodes 11 and 12 on Yavin with the
No,
finale?
we're-
We're including all 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just doesn't like that I called it that arc.
Yes, because it's
Okay,
the finale,
that's
right?
fine.
All 3. Yeah, you can't break it down. That's I knew it was going to confuse Luke. It's going to.
I think
You can
could definitely
differentiate
break it
in that
down
arc.
between.
But those are
I
the.
think you could
That's
definitely
the arc.
break it down between Luthen's death episode and the Yavin episodes, seeing as they are completely featuring independent characters and scenes and settings.
Exactly, because that is
But it's all one
the
arc.
finale
Like,
arc.
Clea is
Exactly.
Clea is the
Clea
through
links
line.
it,
That's why I
yeah.
said / Clea extraction. But anyway, so starting with the very first arc of the show, the introduction, the Ferrex arc, we meet Cassian Andor, Luthen Rail, and all the important characters. Curious where you guys rank this in the 8. For me, personally, it's a good arc, but it's a good arc to an incredible show. Something has to be last. I put this at number 8. It's my... Even saying least favorite arc sounds like it's doing it disjustice, obviously.
Yep.
It's not a bad arc by any means. It's just kind of a good starting to an otherwise incredible TV show. But Matthew, what did you rate the first arc?
I'm kind of-
your Ferrex intro arc.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Again, nothing. I did not put it last. I put it at number 7 for myself. Again, I think this is, like you said, same thing, right? Ditto to everything you said. I think it for my last one. I think this just there's a lot of setup, right? It's a lot of setup, and then it's all kind of downhill from there in greatness. And so this is number 7 for me, just for the fact of that it is mostly setup. With that being said, going into this, I just want to give the context that, as you all know, I am more of a 99% of the time, I am more of a the journey along the way than the final destination type of person as well. I always like that middle ground. I like, A New Hope. I like Fellowship, when they're all together and stuff. So I really do like that aspect of it. But I think this arc did what I think 8 did a little bit less, and this has just set up such a great world. And then even though we're talking about how it's set up and how something has to kind of go last, I think it does such a great job. And I think this sets the pacing for the tone of the whole show. But yeah, number 7 for me.
I put it
Luke?
at number 6. There's a lot that I like. There's nothing that I didn't like. And the Serial Karn stuff I loved. There was some damn good Serial Karn content in the first 3 episodes. I also really enjoy the Dedra and Major Partagaz introduction and the intensity there. We've never seen that done on screen so well. The stuff that actually happens on Ferrix is solid for Andor. Obviously nothing I talk about all night I will consider bad filmmaking or bad television. It's all great. I love this show very much, but we're talking exclusively within Andor. So some of it's going to be better and some of it's going to be worse. And the intro on Ferrix I thought was right down the middle of the road. It was solid Andor, excellent filmmaking, but I couldn't put it lower than anything that I did have problems with. So it got a bit elevated from that, despite being not as memorable as I want my number 6 to be, because it is probably my 6th most memorable arc, I guess. Six isn't high. Here I am overly defending myself. That's not too far from where you guys were. I put it at 6.
876. Here we go.
Yeah, and it makes sense that you obviously really like Serial Karn's character. That is a very Serial Karn heavy arc. I mean, it's like his whole villain origin story, obviously. So that makes sense. I don't disagree with any of that. We have hindsight now. We don't need to relitigate this.
Exactly.
But moving
so you
on,
can't call him a villain.
that is okay.
Guys,
Stay tuned for a Serial Karn Redux episode.
We are all off our game, I feel like, too. We've been away for a week and a half from recording. Luke's sick. Max is
Yes,
shaving.
I am sick, if you can't tell from my lack of animation.
All right, well, let's move forward to what I think will be a more popular arc, and that is the Aldhani arc. Going from one of my least favorite arcs to what is probably one of my favorite arcs. I put the Aldhani arc at number 4. Obviously, I like it a lot. The only reason, I mean, there's 3 arcs that are better than it, and I feel like it's obvious, so I'm curious to see what you guys say. Maybe I'm way off base. The Aldhani conclusion, the actual heist itself, that episode is one of the best episodes in Andor. The first 2 episodes of that arc don't really stand on their own as well as some of the other arcs that I put a little bit ahead of Aldhani. Obviously, it's still really good, a lot of good buildup, but I think that the conclusion to the Aldhani arc certainly carries it quite a ways. I put it at my number 4 spot. I went twice in a row. That was kind of rude of me. Luke, I'll go to you. What did you rank the Aldhani arc as? I know you're a big fan of the Aldhani.
I'm excited to see
number
this.
Number one.
Yeah,
but
there we
easy.
go, baby.
First one I put on my list.
Easy?
Oh yeah.
knew it.
You didn't even.
It's not just that it's a head and shoulders above. It's that all the arcs are so good that I've consistently thought about which one's my favorite, and it's always been Aldhani. So it's something that I've always known and something that I wouldn't have to think that hard to come up with if I didn't already know it. But yes, it is number 1 by a good amount. And it's because of the side characters. Like the tension and the world building and Cassian's character arc is excellent, but it is in every arc. The thing that sets it apart is the setting on Aldhani with the Dani people, Lieutenant Gorn with his relationship with the Dani people, and from the Imperial side, Skeen, Taraman, Nemec, all Vel and Cinta, every single character was captivating. But then beyond that, we get the intro of Mon Mothma. We see her for the first time, and working with Luthen, we get to see Luthen's shop for the first time, and it was so cool the way they handle all the espionage stuff and distract Cloris. Clea distracts Cloris so that they can talk in private, and their ideological differences. Every conversation that they ever have is amazing. I did have a hard time because it's not just the Aldhani stuff that I want to talk about, because there's a lot of great stuff in these 3 episodes beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to see, like, I have a hard time remembering, like, oh, did Mon Mothma have dinner party 1 during Aldhani or dinner party 2 during Aldhani? Like, they kind of run together. And the good dinner party, the one where she recruits Takolma, is episode 7 on Niamos, where it's the only episode that we're not talking about. So it was hard for me to differentiate that, but we do see her relationship with Perrin and her daughter, whose name escapes me, but I think it starts with KL also. Lita.
I want to say it's similar to Clea.
No, it's Lita.
Lita, that's it. Oh,
but-
no, it's similar to Leia, because I think it's spelled the same way, but with like a D or something.
A little nod to the original trilogy, one would say.
Subtle.
I love all of it. It's a very rare feat for me to be so enthralled with the Aldani heist and every scene, every character interaction, and then them cut away to a completely different planet with different characters, and I'm still all the way on board.
Yeah, I had to go back and rewatch season 1, episode 7 that you were talking about. It's called Announcement, and it is a good episode. But as far as a conversation on the arcs go, it is kind of floating out there, and I don't know which arc that belongs to, because
it has to be
it's not
excluded,
really
right?
part of the Narkina arc, but it's also after everything on Aldani, and it's just kind of like the follow-up from that. So
Yeah, I think it would just be excluded, and the finale, episodes 11 and 12, are a 2-episode arc, which might
just
not
throws off
be
the
that
whole
much of a problem.
ordering system. But anyway, yes, I agree with everything that you said. Obviously, the introduction of Mon Mothma, who's like my favorite character, is great. That's like, I think, I mean, again, I ranked it as number 4, so it's not like I have to defend myself and like I'm saying that the arc is bad or anything like that. However, the most interesting parts to episodes 4 and 5 before the actual heist was everything with Luthen and Mon Mothma. The stuff that was happening on Aldani, although yes, the characters are captivating, like you said, was a little slower and just kind of build up. So that was
Serial Khan eats his
I don't need to
cereal
justify myself.
during the Aldani heist.
Yep.
He
Also,
does,
some
which
damn
is
good content.
apparently. I forget what kind of cereal it was, Matthew. You just told us. It was-
The oh my god,
Trolls World
2,
Tour.
Yeah, Trolls World Tour. Thank you, Captain Crunch.
All right, Matthew, where do you rank the Aldani arc?
This is something that I figured was going to happen. Is that Max, you and I see very closely on Star Wars as a whole, but I think Luke and I see a bit more closely on Andor and how we view it, and so I assume maybe their top 3 will be pretty much the same, but in different orders. So Aldani for me is number 2. So my second favorite arc. When I think of Andor, I think this is what really, really got me into it. The first 3 episodes are great. I don't think Blue Noodles really took off as much as it should have. I think that's in this first arc, but still, I don't know if you guys remember the Blue Noodles, but those should have taken off.
How
those
could
should
you
be
forget?
in Galaxy's Edge, exactly. But I think Aldani, everything you just said, I like the buildup. I think that's the perfect aspect for it for me, is that you all of a sudden get a heist in Andor, like a full 3 episodes, Ocean's 11 style. It feels like heist, and so when you at the end of the, when the actual heist goes on, you care about these characters. You can relate to these characters, and I think that's something that, like, though I love the heist in Solo, for example, and all those characters die basically, you don't get that attached to them in comparison, right? And you then get these characters to go on in the next season as well, and I love that aspect. And I also find it to be a great middle ground where we're still getting going, and the stakes in comparison are relatively low. So this is an arc that I can put on if I'm not feeling good, if I'm sick, if I'm at home, I want to watch a little bit of Andor. Aldani is the one I go to because it's fun, it's a slow burn, and an amazing payoff.
The best one.
Yeah,
Because it's the best one. Yes, I agree.
I think there's one more better, one better, but I yes, the Aldani is number 2 for me.
A specific scene recently came across on social media when they asked Cassian how to input the weight onto the rail car that they're going to be escaping on, and he's like astonished that they don't already know, and so he insists on flying it, and they have that little kerfuffle, and that's an example of a scene that doesn't need to be great, but it is. Like in almost any other show, that would just be an average scene. You're just establishing a little bit more about these characters. It's not edge of your seat tension, and in Andor, in Aldani, it is. It's it's so good.
I agree with that.
Well, Matthew, I'm curious to see what your number 1 is. Maybe it's the next one, so I'm going to ask you to start off Narkina 5. Where do you rank the Narkina 5 arc?
Narkina 5 for me is number 4. I also love Narkina. Again, it feels weird to put it this low, but let's be real, the best part of Narkina is in another arc as well. One Way Out.
What?
One Way Out? is not
That's
part
part of
of.
Narkina.
One Way Out's part of the Narkina 5 arc.
No, it's not. It's episode 9
episode
or
10.
right? Yeah. So 10,
It's
11,
episode
12.
10, but that's
yeah,
what we were
the
just saying.
Narkina 5
Episode
arc would
7
be
is
episodes
omitted.
8, 9, and 10.
But you think that 11, 12 are the only are the you think Narkina is 4 episodes long arc wise?
No, episode
That's
7
what we were
is
talking about
nothing.
with announcement.
What?
Episode 7 is not part of our conversation today. It's not part of Aldani, and it's not a part of Narkina. So the Narkina 5 arc is episodes 8, 9, and 10.
Interesting. I do not view it like that. I would not. I think that this is why we should have talked about this before. I feel like
How could you not view it like that? You viewed the escape from Narkina 5 as being a separate arc. Then
It's the episodes where they're on
I don't know.
Narkina 5.
I feel like I know that. See, that throws it in to the middle of everything. Because for me, it's like episodes. You arc it out where 7, 8, and 9. You end on a cliffhanger with 9, and then 10, 11, 12 is all the downslope for me. That's how the episodes were also released as well.
They were week to week after the first 3.
Were they? I thought they were. Oh my god! Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of the season 2 as well. That's interesting. Well, that's a little different then, I guess. If you're counting, not counting. How do you not count 7 in anything? That 7 has to fall into somewhere, which has to weigh in.
Because they're not on Aldani or on Narkina. That's what we were saying. It doesn't really fit.
But it has to. We're ranking arcs. So where does that arc stand? It can't be a standalone episode. It has to fit into either
It is.
Aldani or it has to fit into Narkina. So I think one episode, in my mind, those are. This is interesting. We should have litigated this before because I just assumed it was the 3 chunk episodes because everything else we're doing is 3 chunk episodes. Again, I think that's the finale of the Narkina arc.
They're not ordered by the number of episodes. They're numbered by the arcs. It depends on what's happening within the episodes. That's why episode 7, it's floating out in no man's land, but you can categorize that as either part of the Aldani arc or the Narkina 5 arc, but it's not really
it is the fallout
strictly in one or the other.
That's true. It's the fallout of Aldani, but then also it is the beginning of Narkina. You know what? I'm still going to go with number 4 still. One Way Out's great. And now this
Yeah,
is
include
kind of
One Way Out in your
where,
conversation now, at least.
Yeah, One Way Out is obviously the best of it. That's the thing too. Is I really like. Obviously we're getting Melshi now apparently, which is important in season 2. But I think again, this is. I don't know. Now I'm flustered and thrown off. I like this. I don't like it as much as Aldani, and spoiler, I don't like it as much as the finale. I'm
flustered and thrown off by this too. The Ferrix finale better be your number 1 because when you were making this list, you were assuming that included One Way Out.
It
and
is.
If you're going,
and that's to be honest, that was just a bonus because 11 and 12 are the finale for me, and I guess I'll just skip ahead and you guys can go back and retroact. But yeah, number 1 is the Ferrix finale. It's just so good. It's the best editing. It's the best writing. It's the best directing. It's the best thing Star Wars, I think, still has done, with an exception of a close second that happens in the second season. So yeah, I would rank Narkina number 4 still.
I had it at number 2.
Oh, shit.
And I don't have that much to say about it. Absolutely incredible. Kino Loy, 2 thumbs up.
I feel like this is Max's.
Liked him. Yeah, Max, I'll see you.
I had it at number 3.
Oh my god. Do I even know?
I agree. I mean, the One Way Out, the last episode, obviously is. Season 2 has so many bangers that I can't say the best episode in all of Andor, but it is certainly one of them. One of the best episodes in all of Star Wars ever. It's one of the episodes in Andor that I go back to time and time again to rewatch. The monologue of Luthen of Kino Loy is incredible. Actually, Luthen also has an incredible monologue in that as well. People forget about that. That's the same episode where he monologues with Lonnie underground. So, I mean, I feel like writing alone makes it the 3rd best arc, but the action, the tension, and everything that's being built, the characters that are being introduced, Luke, like you were saying, how it's like there's just some things in Andor that just go unnecessarily hard, like that conversation and Aldani, and just about everything on Narkina is kind of the same way because it introduces so many characters and so many dynamics that they didn't have to do, but they really went above and beyond. Like they introduced Kino Loy, they brought in I'm blanking on his name now, to play Kino Loy, even though he's already been in Star Wars. Like, it is strictly, like, I don't know. Like, to me, that is going out of their way and casting somebody because they're like, no, this is the right person for this role. This person's going to bring them to life. And this is a very important role, even though it's only going to be in 3 episodes and he's going to, ambiguously die at the end of it. So I put the Narkina 5 arc very highly. I put it at number 3. But it sounds like, again, we're all around the same area. I think we're just kind of swapping around
2, 3, and 4
here and there because that one was 2, 3, and 4. Ferrex, Matthew, you put it at number 1. This is the Ferrex finale. I wonder if my ranking is going to start to stray a little bit here. Luke, I'm wondering if you're gonna be more on my side or Matt's, or if you're going to be a middler. I put the Ferrex finale at number 6. Again, it is not bad at all. I like the Ferrex finale a lot. I just think as far as, I don't know, memorableness, it's not that it's not memorable. I just think there are other arcs that are more memorable. And if I were to go back and rewatch Andor, this would be the 6th arc that I would go back to rewatch. Even though it is probably benefited by being the shortest too, because this one is only 2 episodes long. And we talked about it a lot when we were doing Andor, so I don't want to have to rehash all my thoughts on how it was an okay at best finale for the season, but I still stand by that. Obviously it's benefited by the fact of it came back, it was renewed for a season 2, and it obviously delivered. But I put the Ferrex finale of season 1 at number 6. Luke, what did you do?
Number 4, just behind.
Okay, so you're kind of splitting the difference
just
there
in front. Well, okay, in the middle of 2 season 2 arcs. I love it. It's, in terms of just quantity of goodness, I do consider it only 2 episodes, and so a lot of these, every other arc has 3 episodes of goodness. So it was hard for me to put it above like Narkina 5 or Aldani, because if those are perfect, then this can only be 2/3 as good as those, which isn't necessarily fair because it is damn near perfect, and I love it. But that's where it landed for me.
It's interesting because I think it's going to be the same thing, kind of like where, Luke, you kind of alluded to this, and I didn't even, I guess, recognize it, but the same thing where I think I just have a disagreement in general on, obviously, I think story structure maybe. Like in season 2, same thing where you were talking about how, like Luthen's death, Maxwell, how episode 10 is Luthen's death, basically, and there's like kind of this episode in between. So I feel like, it's the same thing. We're 10, 11, 12. I think that's how just kind of Andor kind of works. The last arc is all these stories starting to come together, which is why I feel like No Way Out is part of that last arc. Personally, not that we have to rank it like that, but I just I know in the beginning of the episode we were talking about that, and I was like, oh, it's interesting that you guys view it like that. Obviously, that continues in season 1. Apparently,
yeah, I disagree pretty profoundly. I mean, the episode 10 of season 1 is on Narkina 5, and it's the resolution to that arc. Episode 10 of season 2 is Luthen and Clea's episode. Like, Cassian's not even in it. And so in terms of a conclusive beginning, middle, and end to a single arc for a character or one plot line, there is a discontinuity there. Not necessarily a bad one, but if we're talking exclusively about the validity of 3 episode arcs, I put the Luthen death and finale a little bit lower than I would have.
That's interesting. Well, we'll get there. But again, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job so far of kind of, I think, balancing each other out. That last one was the only one that we had some differences. So the Ferrex finale we ranked as number 1, number 6, and number 4. So that one was kind of all over the board. That was kind of our first one. All our others were a little more consistent. Curious where you guys had the first arc of season 2, the wedding arc. It is also the arc where Andor steals that TIE fighter, and then he ends up getting stuck on Yavin with the Maya Pay Brigade and them, trying to figure their shit out and everything, which a lot of people don't like that part of the arc. And a lot of people were also saying that they thought that the wedding, they spent too much time there, and that you're spending a whole year in one arc, and that we were kind of limited to this one event, and a lot of people wanted to see more. And I strongly disagreed with that. I really liked the wedding arc. I really liked the wedding. I am a huge fan of Mon Mothma and Luthen, and getting to see them together and interact for 3 episodes was a lot of fun. Obviously, you had the death of Tay Kolma, which I thought was a really great ending. A lot of character development for Mon Mothma, having to kind of live with the repercussions of that and everything. And it was also funny going back and rewatching some of these arcs in preparation for this episode, because they start to bring in, or Mon Mothma wants to bring in Tay Kolma during the Aldani arc, and kind of going back and seeing some of the foreshadowing that is laid during those episodes was interesting to see, because Luthen was kind of calling it out from the beginning, like, listen, I hope you have the courage to be able to undo this if it proves to be too much, or something along those lines. And then obviously it does. Anyway, I'm getting too far into the weeds. The wedding arc, I really liked it a lot. That said, I still had it at number 5. Luke, what did you do with the wedding arc?
Number 3. And I'm kind of going to contradict what I said just a little bit ago, because this is the first arc that had something that I thought was less than average in Andor, the Maya Pei Brigade on Yavin. It wasn't horrible. I don't dislike it as much as other people I've seen online, or I think even Matt really doesn't like this story arc. I didn't hate it, but I do recognize that it's a sub-tier for Andor content. That being said, the wedding was absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. Everything on Mina Rao, absolutely incredible. And everything on... It's not Eriadu, where they have the Imperial meeting with Krennic, but it looked like it. I forget that planet, but everything there was absolutely incredible. So in terms of memorability, this is one of my more memorable arcs, because each of those stories told over 3 episodes hits really hard for me. It also was my highest rated arc in season 2, because like I've said before, every other arc I think starts to bother me. Well, it definitely starts to bother me. I think it starts to suffer a little bit from the 1-year time jumps and some story elements that we can get into, but this one did not. This 1-year time jump, obviously, from the Ferrix finale was extremely natural, being a season break and coming back and seeing where everyone is. I loved Mina Rao. I loved Krennic, but boy, did I really love that wedding. When Mon Mothma starts dancing, that second most memorable moment in Andor season 2 for me.
I think that is.
And you haven't even talked about the costuming yet.
Good costuming at the wedding. Very good costuming.
Guys, listeners, seriously, imagine if Luke was not sick. How that would have just opened the floodgates. This episode would have been 35 minutes longer than whatever the runtime is currently.
Matthew, where did you put the wedding arc?
I put this at number 8. Like Luke said, I also
Something's
like
be
this
there.
arc. I don't. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not one of those people that were like, it's so bad or something. I love the pacing. I think this is great. Again, something needs to be there. I think it's one of those things where, it's no coincidence that the first arc of season 1 and the first arc of season 2 are my least favorite. Is before you kind of get going. I don't think they waste Andor. Again, I think if you watch the show in order from episode 1 to episode 24, there's a clear arc. I'm glad Andor kind of takes the back seat. I love the Mon Mothma stuff. I just find that the Yavin rebels are indeed annoying. Again, in a perfect show, you're going to have a little bit of like flubs, and I don't want to say necessarily flubs because that's just like my opinion on it, and I don't go as hard as people on the internet. But I don't enjoy that aspect out of all the other things that are going on in the show. Again, I think it's really well done the way they do it. I just don't personally enjoy that those characters.
And I liked the Yavin stuff more than you did, but I want to get ahead of this anyway because it made me so infurious to see it on the internet when people would comment on Reddit about media literacy and Star Wars fans' alleged lack thereof, where, but the stupidity of Maya Pei's brigades is the point, and the rebels need leadership, and that's what we were meant to see. Like, yeah, it was. I didn't like seeing that stupidity. Like, I get the story purpose of it, and I get why it's in the show. I didn't like watching it, and you can't say that I did if you explain it to me in a way you think I'll understand better.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's intentional doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. I mean, you can watch something and say that, like, okay, yeah, I see what they're doing here. I just don't care for it.
That was
Because that's kind of where I land on that. Like, I didn't really dislike any of the Yavin stuff with the Maya Pay Brigade. I like it a little bit less in hindsight, just because there was this thought when it was coming out that there was a big reveal that they were on Yavin the whole time, and that was going to have something to do with something.
Tell me about it.
So in hindsight, it's a little bit like, why aren't they on Yavin though? But like the stuff that they're going for, it's like I don't mind it. I do kind of understand it and see where it's coming from. And I guess it's the kind of small injection of action into that arc, because the main plot of that whole arc kind of revolves around the wedding and all that stuff. But it just goes to show that not even Star Wars needs action to be good. The wedding held its own just fine. But anyway, we ended on Matthew for that one, the wedding heist. I want to start with you on the next one, which is the Gorman heist. So I've kind of broken up the next two as the Gorman heist and the Gorman massacre. Starting with the Gorman heist, Matthew, where did you rank this one?
It's so tough to rank any of these. And again, I could be swayed, I think, again, realistically. So everything I'm saying is not, it's not necessarily like religion or something.
You should keep an open mind with religion too, Matthew.
Yeah, I should. And then, I guess this is, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Do I say a funny quip? Do I not? I won't. Luke and I both like season 1 more than season 2, right? So the Gorman heist is great. I put this at number 7. Nope, I put this at number 6. It's great. I love the Dedra and stuff. I love the Dedra and Cyril stuff. This is when it's really starting to get cooking. Obviously, if you're comparing Gorman versus Gorman, I think there's a better one, which we'll talk about soon. But I really do like this one, and I think that we get another thing, like Luke said, if you're really breaking it down, you're getting these characters that you don't really care about in comparison to Eldani. I think they just did it a little better because I think it's just the characters that are represented. And so, yeah, I put this at number 6. Literally nothing wrong with it. It's amazing. Which is a problem
Luke,
with this ranking.
where did you put
it? It's like this is
I know
less
it's so
good.
hard. Something has to be last. Something has to be down there. Yeah.
It's like, this is great.
Luke, where did you put its one?
This is last for me. This is number 8. Again,
I
don't
defended
dislike
it. Not so
I
well.
don't-
I wouldn't have defended as much.
I don't dislike it nearly as much as I would anything else, putting at the ranking any other list and putting something at the bottom of my list. It's good television. It does edge closest to forgettable with the Gorman heist actual parts of the actual Gorman heist, which is what we're calling this. But the more memorable part for me, at least, was the party scene, which was entertaining, although it did bother me at times the way that was shot and presented. Like you mentioned about the wedding, that's the most important event of the year. That worked for me 100% with the wedding. This party seemed like a rather unimportant event, and some of the characters coming to it seemed rather contrived to get everyone in the same room. And so I didn't dislike it, but when we're talking about a perfect show, again, that is in a tier below average for me. The actual heist was like good and interesting, but the tension wasn't there because Cyril was informing on it and making sure it all went well. I forget his name. Not Jimmy Smits was introduced during the Gorman heist, and Tony Gilroy was very careful to do that so that we would be on board with new guy going forward and we could air all of our grievances. So for all of eternity, I will be very careful to only knock episode 6 of season 2 for recasting Bail Organa and not perpetually, especially if it goes on into the future stories past Andor. But I hate that, and I also didn't love the way that they handled the Gorman characters. I talked very lovingly about all the characters on Aldhani, and I just feel none of that for any of the Gormans. I don't remember any of their names. I never really developed an emotional connection with them, and so yeah, this one's bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it's funny. how I want to disagree with a lot of the things that you said, but I also put it at number 7. So again, we're all very similar with this one. We have it at 6, 7, and 8. It is overshadowed by the fact that it's all on Gorman, and the Gorman massacre follows it, and it definitely overshadows it. It feels like this whole heist and everything is just kind of more lead up to the next arc than it is kind of its own standalone arc. And I agree with what both of you said about the characters on Gorman and Matthew, how you said, I think they kind of did the same thing but better on Aldani. And I think it's because the show was still kind of fresh at that point, and they were just kind of introducing these characters when we were able to spend more time with them. Obviously, by this point, halfway through season 2, we had, our main cast of characters and an entire supporting cast in addition to these new characters who are just now being introduced in Gorman. So I do kind of understand that as well, that, we didn't get to spend as much time as maybe we could have, but it was still good. It just kind of felt like more build up. I don't knock it at all for the recasting. We've already talked about that. Maybe we'll talk about recasting more at another time, but I don't know if there's been enough recastings in Star Wars to talk about it.
They are typically very respectful about it.
I wouldn't say this is disrespectful.
I felt disrespected. I wanted to say one more thing.
It's not to the fans, though. It's to the actor.
No.
It's whether or not Jimmy Smits was disrespected.
The lack of continuity was disrespectful to Star Wars fans. The unforced lack of continuity. Jimmy Smits was busy. No. If you're Disney, you should have him killed 6 months before the show comes out to save face and not just say, he was busy and we couldn't get him. I would feel better if Jimmy Smits was 6 feet under right now.
Oh my god.
Is this a conspiracy that we're falling on with Ray Stevenson? He was like, I'm out, I'm not doing season 2, and Disney put out the hit on him, and they're like, we're going to have to recast him. Get the Hound from Game of Thrones and kill this guy.
I feel way better about that recast than I do Jimmy Smits. Because that is... I'm not actually supporting having killed Jimmy Smits, but it would have worked for me personally.
Man, I would hate to see you in charge of a studio and what would go down there.
We try to be such a positive Star Wars podcast, and here we are. I would feel better if he were dead.
That actor that I really like, that I'm really bummed was not in this show. I also want to say one thing about the Gorman heist before we move on, because it's easy to knock something for not being as good as the next thing that comes, and it obviously isn't. But it's not just that the Gorman massacre is better, it's that when you're watching the show, you know that the Gorman massacre is coming, and when you're watching the Gorman heist, you know that this isn't the Gorman massacre, and you're going to see something better in the future. And so that also brings it down.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. But carry it to the next one. Luke, the Gorman massacre. Where did you rank that one?
The Gorman massacre, number 7. Definitely better than the Gorman heist. It's because
interesting.
Who are you?
Well, I haven't been paying attention to what your numbers were throughout, even though I'm trying to write them down. You put the Gorman massacre at number 7. Just to be clear, what episodes are you including in this?
7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you put this as the 7th best arc.
Yes. Because, and this is where we'll get into kind of what I was referring to before about semantics, as always. Episodes 8 and 9 are amazing. Episode 8 is by far my favorite episode of Andor, and therefore all of Star Wars. As an arc, though, I did not get the same kind of tension, like beginning, middle, and end, as I do almost every other arc, and the satisfaction therein. I wouldn't argue that episode 9 should be considered in a different arc because it's on a different planet with different characters, but it feels disjointed in terms of one cohesive arc because it's all of a sudden about a different main character. And I also feel that Cassian's role in the Gorman massacre is unimportant at best and non-existent at worst. He was sent there to kill Dedra, which the motivation for that was fair, if not good. And then he just kind of tries to do it a few times, and he's really just there for it. Like I would have liked to see more agency out of Castian, and in another world, more agency out of the Gormans, or any sort of characterization from all of them. Cyril Karn knocked my socks off. Episode 8, Cyril Karn, as good as it gets. Mon Mothma in episode 9, as good as it gets for her. But in terms of a cohesive arc with, the characters affecting the plot and cohesion across all 3 episodes, I have it at number 7.
That's not
Okay.
so. That's the first time I was
Matthew,
yeah.
I need you to talk me off the ledge here.
Yeah, this is my
What did you rank it as?
This is my number 3. So just to reiterate, Ferrick's finale, season 1, is my favorite. Aldani is number 2, and then Gorman Massacre is number 3. The Gorman Massacre is amazing, which is a weird sentence to say. The lead up of it in 7 is great. The Dedra and Cyril stuff is great. Cyril being able to kind of become his own. I like that Andor also takes a backseat. I think Andor takes a backseat he takes the backseat the entire season, realistically. I mean, I think it's the same thing in episode 1.
It's kind of the entire show. I mean,
What's that?
Not season 1.
No, not season 1, season 2. I think he takes a back seat.
I think Max was saying both seasons. Yeah.
Oh, so the other characters are able to soar, and I think when you finish episode 7, you leave it with thinking. At least I'm still thinking about how stormtroopers, for the first time ever since 1977, are actually scary. They have a commanding presence, and that's what I walk away with when I watch The Messenger of episode 7. Episode 8 is one of the most heartbreaking moments of all of TV I've ever seen in my entire life, and episode 9 gets me back on the train of being so excited with Andor converging with the Mon Mothma story, and then her escaping. I absolutely love that. And it's one of those things where I cannot believe they had action back to back in 8 and 9 and it worked out. A lot of the times that doesn't, right? It's kind of a hat on a hat, but they were able to edge it basically the entire time. That 8 and 9 were just amazing. And then I think, I've said this before and we've talked about this, but 8 and 9 really is the finale, right, of Andor, of the show, where then I think 10 through 12 are really kind of the segue and the epilogue of Andor, the show, and a prologue to Rogue One. And so I find 8 and 9 to be the perfect kind of Sunday, and realistically episodes 10 through 12. It's almost doing a massive disservice to say a cherry on top, because it's significantly more than that, like significantly more than that. But yeah,
it's a steak on top.
Huh?
I said it's a steak on top. It's a whole meal.
It's a steak on top. Sorry, I thought you said that's what I said. I was like, that's genius, because it is a steak on top. It's amazing. I assume maybe this is your number 1, Maxwell. But not to get that too far ahead. But yeah, I loved it. So it's number 3 for me, Gorman Massacre.
Yeah, it is absolutely my number 1. I think it is crazy that Luke put it so low. But I see what you're saying about episodes 8 and 9 feeling like they're kind of parts of different arcs, even though they're not. They are the same arc, and episode 9 just has to deal with the aftermath of the immediate aftermath of the Gorman massacre from Mon Mothma's position in the Senate and everything like that. But I mean, like you were saying, Luke, like episode 8 is one of the best episodes of Andor. Episode 9 is one of the best episodes of Andor. Episode 7 it's fine. It's not bad by any means, but I mean, I can't take 2 of the best episodes of Andor and say like, well, there wasn't similar enough. So, as an entire arc, I'm going to rank it lower. I still have it at my number 1. I think it is the best arc in all of Andor. I think it is some of the best storytelling, not just in Star Wars, but ever. If I ever go back and rewatch an arc, it is always going. If I ever go back and only rewatch one arc, it would always be the Gorman Massacre, episodes 7, 8, 9, season 2. I think they're absolutely incredible. You get a good amount of resolution. Like Matt said, we kind of discussed that in a previous episode as well, but I agree. It feels like this is kind of like the Andor finale, and everything else is just kind of tying up loose ends. It is absolutely incredible. I put it at number 1.
It's going back to semantics then, because we're ranking the arcs and not the episodes. And if we were ranking episodes, I think I would have 8 and 9 at numbers in my top 3. And even though Aldani is my favorite arc by a good margin, I don't know if any single episode would be in the top 5 for my favorite episodes. So I am putting a lot of credence into the arc, the way the 3 episodes fit together. And Matt, you said something that I thought illustrated why I don't like it as much pretty clearly when you said that it's cool seeing Cassian and Mon's stories converging, because I disagree that their stories converge. I think like Game of Thrones had the character stories converge from one place to another place and then they slowly converge to the same place. But Cassian's story, he just went to Gorman and then went home, and then he was a free agent, and so Luthen sent him to Mon Mothma next. It's not like his story on Gorman is what led him to be the man that escorts Mon Mothma out, and that discontinuity is what lowers this arc for me.
See, I thought that was
And I get
exciting
that.
that
I respect that. We are ranking arcs, so you are right in that you do have to look at them together and take them together. And I'm kind of trying to have it both ways by trying to separate them out by episodes, even though I've said earlier that I've ranked some others lower because I think a couple episodes brought it down. But I agree with that. It's a gut thing, and I cannot.
The arc is the sum of its parts,
lower.
though. It's the it's all encompassing. That is a neatly. That's a neat little package. And though I think they could have done it better, that transition, Luke, like you're saying, that he's on Gorman, then he's not. He is kind of doing that. That is what Andor kind of does. He is kind of a free agent where he's working with Luthen for all this time. And so the fact that his next job just so happens to be Mon Mothma is like amazing, like characters converging. I love that idea, right? It's not like there was a big thing. I almost like that more. That's not like he knows he's going to protect Mon Mothma or something. It's like, oh, she's just another job. But little does he know it's one of the most important jobs. And I think that's what's so special about it, too, is just like he is just doing a job, right? He doesn't know how important it is that it's going to be for the galaxy, but we, the audience, knows. And I think I like that aspect so much that, again, this is really so down to the ground. It's not the Avengers. It's Daredevil.
I disagree that the arcs are the sum of the parts. That's what I was trying to say before, that if we just ranked the episodes and then took our ranking of the episodes 7, 8, and 9, this arc would be far higher than episode 7 if that's how we were doing it. But because I view the arcs as not unrelated to the sum of their parts, but more and different than the sum of their parts, I disagree with that. It has 2 of the best episodes in all of Andor, but as an arc, I feel comfortable with it at 7.
We should rank the episodes next. Maybe I also feel like we're all.
I don't think it would be that different for you guys.
That's a good point. I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like also, I know I've said this before that we're like low energy today, and I'm wondering if we like when we re-listen back to this, if it's going to be the most normal episode, because we're not yelling and cutting each other off every 2 seconds. And I miss that feeling already.
This is just what a polite conversation sounds like.
I know. It's like we should all just be tired and sick all the time, apparently. Not for real life, but just for, because that would suck so bad, but for the podcast, apparently. Anyway, Max, lead the way.
This doesn't have to do with boosting the arc because it's a very small episode beat, but while we're talking about it, I constantly find myself thinking back to the beat in episode 9 when they're getting Mon Mothma out of there, and Luthen made that whole deal about how your driver can't be trusted, you have to go with this other guy. And then Mon Mothma's like, you remember Take Holma? And how we basically had him killed, and how she's bringing this up because now the shoe is on the exact other foot where she's being told, hey, you can't go with your driver, you have to go with this other guy, but don't worry, he'll get you there safely. And she's just like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking murder me. I always find myself thinking about that and how scary that had to have been for Mon Mothma, because it's like the whole time people are like, oh, well, like he obviously like Luthen sent him because like Cassian was trying to gain her trust that whole episode, and he was like, I work with Val, I was on Aldhani, yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, she knows that you're not lying. She just doesn't know what you're about to do with her is the problem.
Which is the scariest
that is so terrifying from her perspective. I think about that frequently.
I agree. That is, again, it's like, what kind of business are you in, right? Like, that is such a terrifying realization, I feel like.
I would like to get into a deeper conversation about this, but real quick, just because I'm on IMDb right now, and both episodes 8 and 9, Who Are You and Welcome to the Rebellion, are ranked evenly at a 9.7. Which one do you like better?
Who are
which
you?
ones?
You said, who
8
are
and
you?
9.
Who are you and Welcome to the Rebellion?
I think Welcome to the Rebellion.
Basically, the Gorman Massacre
Yeah.
or Mon Mothma's extraction.
I'm not. So I think Who Are You is a more memorable episode, but I think I ultimately like Welcome to the Rebellion better. Does that make sense? I don't know.
That's the one without Cyril Karn, though.
It is, I know, but it's Cyril Karn dead, which is so fucking depressing. That's the problem for me. Is that like that is a gut punch every time I watch it. Like I watched it before we started recording, and it is going to ruin my night. Like just thinking about that on like an existential level, to be like, man, he was so close, just to being like who he could be and should be, just so close, and that's the most heart-wrenching thing. So I think ultimately Welcome to the Rebellion is just more fun to watch at the end of the day, but I think Who Are You is a better episode. Max, what do you think? I don't know if that makes any sense.
I was going to say I agree with you, but then I kind of disagree at the end, because I feel like Who Are You is the funner one to watch, but I think about Welcome to the Rebellion so much more. I feel like Who Are You was like the most cathartic feeling I've ever had while watching a TV show, because I'm just like, yes, this is so rewarding. This is everything I wanted. And it just felt like everything that was being built up was like finally released in the most satisfying way possible. And then they kept going right into Welcome to the Rebellion. And I constantly like go back in my head and I'm thinking about this episode, and that I think it's interesting. But I agree with what I think you were saying earlier on. I think I would say I almost like Welcome to the Rebellion a little bit better than Who Are You, even though I think Who Are You is probably funner to watch.
Yeah, so we are the same side of the coin, just a little bit lower. I feel like it's not even the opposite sides. It's just slightly different. There's no wrong
That's not
answer.
a good coin analogy, then.
We are two faces coin.
If you're going the coin route, you got to be
Whatever,
different sides of it.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. All right. Anyway, bringing up the end, Luthen's death and the finale and Clea's extraction, those last 3 episodes. Matthew, where do you rank them?
This is also like heartbreaking to say, I feel like, too, because this is for me it's 5. I guess, right? It's one of those things where like, well, fuck, it's all so good. Like you said, Max, the Clea arc is so good. That episode is amazing. It gets so real. It gets almost too real after Cyril dies, which is also a little too real. That episode is hands down amazing. And I think that might be the best episode in that arc. I love the last 2. I love the scene I think about the most, and I forget his name, but when they're extracting Clea and K2 picks up the dickhead guy and uses him as a human shield. That is fantastic.
Supervisor
scene.
Hirt.
Thank you. It's the scariest moment, I think, in all of Star Wars, too, to be honest, because it is so brutal and real and human. So I love that arc. And the last episode is amazing, but again, I think they nailed the landing. They stuck it, obviously, but it is an amazing lead into Rogue One, ultimately. So I think there's nothing wrong with this one. I think it's, again, I said this at the beginning of the episode, I am more of the journey along the way guy versus the end. And so I think that's why this would be number 5. Again, nothing wrong with it. You can rank it higher or lower, and I'd be fine with that because, again, it is 10 out of 10s across the board for the show.
Luke, what about you?
This is our first match. I also had it at number 5. How exciting.
Oh, thank you.
And I agree with everything you were saying. This is the most average Andor content that we get. Like, nothing blows me away. Nothing is below average by any means, but like, what's the guy's name? Partagaz, killing himself.
Yes.
That is very satisfying, and Dedramiro going to Narkina and all this stuff. It's not like it blew me away or I love watching it. It's just very natural the way the story resolves, and they stick the landing. They hit all the emotional beats that they need to hit. Bix and the baby on Mina Rao, B2 Emo. It's all very much what needed to happen and what I wanted to happen, and it was very well done. We got that scene with Cassian and Vel, the Luthen backstory. Everything was exactly what I wanted, and that's why it is such average Andor. Nothing blew me out of the water, and that's okay. Not everything's going to, but Number 5.
Yeah,
Also-
and that makes sense too, given what you were saying about the Gorman massacre. I mean, do you also rank it lower because Luthen's death is also like that episode's kind of like, well, that one is kind of different than the
No.
other two.
I did at first, but it is not. It's different. There's no characters other than Luthen and Clea, and I mean Lonnie and Dedra. There are characters. Cassian's not in it, is what I'm trying to say, and so it feels disconnected. But episode 11, then it's not like it's unrelated to what just happened. It's all about the extraction of Clea and getting that information out, and Dedra's trying to catch him, and so it is more connected as an arc than I think the last one that we were talking about was.
Yeah, I can see that. It's action and reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all. There's nothing more. I was just gonna say,
That's
oh my god,
interesting.
who's the guy that kills himself? Why can't his name literally just slipped out of my mind.
Luthen?
No, he doesn't. Luthen. Oh, I guess Luthen does kill himself.
Partagaz.
Partagaz. Thank you. I was like, oh, the other guy that killed himself. Partagaz just got cast as Garrick Ollivander in the new Harry Potter TV show. So I'm excited to see more of him because he's a very good actor.
Did you
I'm
see the
not
picture
convinced.
of Nick Frost as Hagrid.
Oh, you know I saw Nick Frost as Hagrid.
I'm
He's
not
the
that big of a
perfect
Harry.
actor.
But
I'm not that big of a Harry Potter fan, but I'm not convinced that Major Partagaz was not already
In Harry
Ollivander.
Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks exactly like him.
well, I had it as number 2.
Oh, shit, mama.
Wow.
I disagree with what you were saying. Well, but I only disagree with it in terms of the Gorman massacre. I think it's interesting how you describe that, Luke, because I think that the Gorman massacre had just as much to do with Welcome to the Rebellion as Luthen's death did to the subsequent 2 episodes. But I mean, for that reason, I still rank them both very highly, obviously. I thought Luthen's death was amazing and definitely the best part of that arc, which is kind of, I think, what brought it down to number 2 for me, was because I don't want to say it was downhill from there because the other 2 episodes were good, but like you said, like it is just kind of like it's Andor, right? It's like it's average Andor content that was just kind of wrapping up the loose ends after a very amazing start to that arc. So I get that, and I see that, but I put it at number 2. I think it's incredible. Like you said, they stuck the landing. Luthen's death alone was incredibly impactful. Matt, like you said, it was real. It was a little too real at times, but that's kind of the grounded reality that the whole show, was bringing to the table. So I really like that a lot. That said, I have our final tallies here. So this is the official Force for Thought Andor Arcs rankings. So we have tied for last. We have the Gorman heist and the introduction, the Ferrix intro / Morlana / Starpath unit arcs tied for last. And then at number 6 is the wedding arc. At number 5, we have the Luthen's death and finale and Clea's extraction. At number 3 is another tie. So tied for 3rd, we have the Ferrix finale, that's the season 1 finale, and the Gorman massacre. And then at number 2 was Narkina 5, and number 1, Luke's favorite, Aldani.
Heyo.
I feel
Cheers
like
all
it's
around.
very similar to my original list, except for the wedding. You guys don't like nearly as much as I do, but I think my list is usually very different than the Force for Thought official ranking, so that's exciting. Aldani, then Narkina, then Ferrix.
I'm glad that you put it at number 3 because I thought I was going to be the one who was going to be defending the wedding, putting it at number 5. It's a great arc.
It is the wedding. I love the wedding. That's the thing is the wedding part is my favorite part of that arc, and it's a great. Again, there's
Krennic's meeting. That was so fun.
It is great, but it's no him just digging his fingers into Dedra's head. That is the most memorable
True.
Kubrick moment. But he is a sassy bitch through the entire show, and we love him for it.
And we love him for it, yeah. Does anyone have any Force for Thought?
I do. It is no secret that I have fallen ill. And in the event that this is the end, I would just like to say thank you to the listeners for convincing us that this is worth recording, because I genuinely have loved it. I know how memed it is that every 30-year-old white guy has an unnecessary podcast, and maybe we do. That doesn't change the fact that I have absolutely loved breaking down the most minute and unimportant details from the galaxy far, far away every week. For Matt and Max, I thank you as well for indulging me and being patient with me. And in the event that Obi-Wan's brother is one day introduced into canon, I would like you to scrub all of my negative content on the matter. Although I will travel into the beyond, confident in my take that he will not, should this be the end for me. Thank you.
I don't like that. I don't
Me
like,
neither.
I don't like this.
What are you planning?
I've been sick for a while, guys.
Yeah, you have 3
Okay,
kids.
well, we will pray for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, Jesus.
Thank you.
Now I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. What a weird way
Just
to end the
thinking
episode.
about death a lot.
My
Just
God.
lying down all day. Tired of being on my phone.
Man, I got
We could have just postponed recording if it was that bad. I didn't know you were on your deathbed here.
What if this is my last episode?
No, it won't be, because we have other episodes for next week and the week after.
Do we?
No, we don't.
No, we'll just prop you up and Weekend at Bernie's you. We'll just do voiceover work. Alan Tudyk was just nominated for an Emmy for voiceover, so we'll see if we can get him to voice you.
Oh, yeah, and then I
You
can make
think-
you agree more with me. It'd be great.
Yeah.
You're going to haunt me.
And with AI, anything's possible anyway. So.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it. But seriously, if you feel that poorly, lay down and get some rest, and let me know if you need anything. I mean, I'm just, a couple minutes down the street.
Thank you.
All right. But anyway, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of our rankings of the arcs. If you agreed, disagreed with any of it, if you liked how it turned out or not, you can reach out to us across social media at Force for Thought, and you can email us at forceforthought@gmail.com.
And pray for Luke. See you, Sammy.